Welcome, bienvenue, to the Committee of the Whole meeting for the County of Annapolis. We are starting today with roll call. District 1.
District 1, Carrie M. Harrison Salzman.
District 2, Jesse Hare.
District 3, Dustin Enslow.
District 4, Charles Cranton.
District 5 is Councilor Longmire, and she will be absent for today. She sends her regrets, as there is a medical situation. Next.
District 6, John Welch.
District 7, Ted Agenbar.
District 8, Niall Harding.
District 9, Gidget Oxner.
District 10, Brian Fuzzy-Connell.
And District 11, Diane LeBlanc. Welcome, everybody. Okay, so we will start with Deputy Warden this morning.
Thank you.
Wish.
So I had a thought while I was sitting in the de-icing lane up here yesterday, realizing that when our former warden was here, we always talked or did something for Remembrance Day, a committee of the whole just before Remembrance Day, and we never had a chance to discuss it. So there was something that I wrote up that I wanted to share, and then thought we could have a moment of silence, since most of us, or some of us anyway, today would have been at a school for Remembrance Day, but since we moved it, we couldn't attend. So I just wrote up something while I was sitting in the de-icing lane for an hour and a half. Colleagues, as we approach Remembrance Day, I want to take a moment to reflect on why this day still matters so deeply in 2025. We often say, lest we forget, but the phrase is more than a tradition. It's a reminder that the freedoms we enjoy today, the ability to gather in this chamber, to debate, to disagree, and to build our communities, were secured by generations who served and sacrificed in ways most of us will never know. Across Annapolis County, from our cenotaphs to our legions, to our families who still carry stories of loved ones, remembrance is not about the past fading away. It's about recognizing the values these men and women fought for are the same values we are responsible for protecting today: democracy, peace, and the safety of our communities. Tomorrow, when we stand for a moment of silence, we're not just honoring history, we're acknowledging the ongoing service of today's veterans, the families who support them, and the reality that impacts of service don't end when the uniform comes up. Many in our own communities still carry the burden of those every day. So I encourage all of us, both counselors and neighbors, to be present on Remembrance Day, attend a service, speak with a veteran, or simply take a moment to reflect. It's a small act that ensures their sacrifices will never be taken for granted. Thank you.
Thank you, Deputy Warden. We'll now take a moment of silence. Thank you. We will continue with our agenda for today. Next on the agenda is if there's any disclosure of interest. Now, seeing none, we'll continue. We have the agenda in front of us. Are there any additions to this agenda or changes? Nope. Okay. And the approval of the agenda as it is. We have the minutes that are dated for Tuesday, October 14th for Committee of the Whole. Are there any errors or corrections for these minutes? On page 3. Seeing none, the minutes are approved as is. We turn to page 6. On page 6, there is correspondence from Amens. Correspondence, there are questions on this correspondence? Seeing none, we'll move on. Next on your agenda is on page 11, Department of Natural Resources Easement Agreement, which is presented, it was prepared by Mr. Young, but we have Madame, I don't know her last name, Madame Paula?
Bromley.
Bromley. Madame Bromley is going to speak on this. Please go ahead, Madame.
So this is just an easement agreement with the Department of Natural Resources for the purpose of operating our sanitary sewer infrastructure. It is installed within the right-of-way in Deep Brook. The infrastructure was installed between 2009 and 2011. It's approximately 2.5 kilometers, and it runs along the old rail bed from Shore Drive in Deep Brook to Cornwallis Park. This easement allows us to access the infrastructure and complete any work that is required, and the fee associated with this agreement is $6,924.26.
Thank you. We'll put the motion on the floor, then I'll ask for comments or questions. If somebody put the motion on the floor. Any volunteer? Oh, there you go.
I move that Municipal Council authorize the warden and clerk to sign the attached easement agreement over Crown lands between Deep Brook and Cornwallis Park for access to the municipal sanitary sewer system. The agreement is between the Province of Nova Scotia, represented by the Department of Natural Resources, and the municipality of the County of Annapolis.
Do I have a seconder? Deputy Warden? Okay. Now, any questions or comments that you have? Councillor Eisenbar.
I was just reviewing this prior to coming to the meeting, so I guess my first question is, why is this coming now instead of 2 years or when it was originally done?
Well, I guess there were discussions back in 2011, and I guess it's just getting finalized now and just getting formalized.
Is that normal, I wonder?
Government?
Through you, Warden, it's something that we realized there was not easements in place, and when you realize those things, you gotta make sure they get in place. So again, Jim took action when that was discovered.
Thank you.
You? Deputy Warden?
I just have a question related to this. So this sewer line goes down to a development down in Clemensville, right? Services.
Deep Brook.
Deep Brook. But no one else on that number one is part of that.
Yes.
We just ran into that one area.
No, it services infrastructure, all the residents along the highway. It's just our main line is in the back in the railway.
Oh, so everyone on that is part of it?
Sections of it, yes.
Oh, okay. All right, no, I was just under the impression that it was at the end where it went, okay.
Okay. Are there any? Councillor Welsh?
Is this easement for existing infrastructure,
Yes.
or is there any plan for future extension of that? And should we have easements in place potentially for that?
This easement is for the existing infrastructure that is already installed.
Okay, but no plan for an extension beyond?
Not at this time.
Not at this time.
Okay. Councillor Aguilar?
Just a quick follow-up. So this is a one-time only fee, as never going to come back again?
Correct.
Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Madame Bromley. All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you. Let's move on to page 28. Thank you very much. This report is brought to us by Municipal. going first?
I'll start, I guess. So we put together the variance report for quarter 2. I had Emma actually do the detailed analysis, so I'm going to let her present the report since she did the most of the work.
Thank you, boss. Good morning, everybody. So if you can look at page 28, I'm just going to summarize briefly on the information report. So the variance report is essentially prorated to 50% for the end of Q2. The major findings that we have is that the revenue analysis, we are $300,000 over due to the deed transfer tax. In addition, we have $50,000 that was missing during the budget. Budget preparation, and so the town foundation was also missed. So we have $50,000 that's over in that section. And then for the expense, essentially we have $1.1 million that was a variance, and it was mainly due to the RCMP contract. We received it at the end of September, on September 30th, and so it was paid out in period 7. Finally, there's this brief blurb about the rates collected and remitted to the Village of Lawrencetown and for the fire operation grant. And there are no other things of note to bring forward. We did present this to the audit committee, and now we're presenting it to committee of the whole.
Overall, it says that on the bottom of page 29, we are on budget, bearing any surprises over the next 6 months. No surprises. Okay, questions now. Deputy Warden.
Thank you. I just want to say thank you, because this is the first time since I've been on council that we've actually had a financial update, even though this is a variance, but it's just nice to see, and I'm looking forward to working with the finance department moving forward. And, and I was also very surprised at the audit committee that we had very few questions, because there wasn't a whole lot to be asked about, because it was very clear. So thank you for that. And I'm very happy with where we're at currently. I know that we've had a few curveballs over the past couple months that hasn't really helped some of the financial situations, but the fact that we're still tracking on budget, which just shows what our staff has been doing to kind of augment those costs. And hopefully the money we get back from the province comes in a timely manner. But I've been telling anyone that's asked, I said, between 1 to 25 months or something like that. Anyway, thanks.
Thank you. Councillor Cranton.
Yeah, just for the purpose of the committee as a whole, we discussed this at audit committee meeting, and just in general, the variances, Emma and Paul did a good job explaining. But to sum it up, they're all pretty much either a timing difference, meaning something was received after the end of the quarter, or like you see a lot of it has to do with like reallocations. So the total of a bill is somewhere on the line, but it hasn't been reallocated to the second one yet. So, and that was really the gist of it. So as Emma said, it's a pleasure to see that we're on budget.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from any other councillors? Seeing none, thank you very much for the report. Oh, you need it, oh, yes, please.
So I know that Councillor Creighton mentioned about the reallocation issues. A lot of it had to do with payroll, and those changes have been made. So the quarter 3 report, which you're probably going to get in February, should be a lot cleaner. Those allocations will be done. The journal entry has been prepared. I'm not sure if it's been posted yet or not. But that will clean up a lot of those explanations that we had that say reallocation of payroll. So the next one will be a lot cleaner.
Thank you for that explanation. So seeing no more questions, thank you.
Thank you.
very much.
Thank you.
We are all pleased to see this, trust me. Okay, let's go to page 34. On page 34, we have a policy, yes. Yes, please, Councilor Franklin.
I move that municipal council approve policy 136 municipal investments as circulated, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconder, Councilor Oxner. Do you have any comments or questions for Mr. Wills? Yes.
Again, I'm just happy to see that we have a policy, because I don't want to speak about the past, but I'd like moving forward that we actually have a policy that completely identifies the way that we should be doing something. Hopefully, we're going to be in a situation in the future, in the near future, hopefully, that we can do some type of investment. But the fact that we actually have a team that's working on cleaning things up, I'm very appreciative, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments from anyone? Any other councilors? Thank you very much. Okay, so, now the question. Here, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Thank you, Mr. Will. Let's go on to page 43. On page 43, we have a report from Mr. Will about the tax sale. And I'll move it to you, Mr. Wills.
Should have brought a chair. There's a stool here. So we've started the tax sale process. The 60-day notices are in the process of being sent out. Of course, we're doing them as we get them. Our target for the tax sale is the first week of March. I don't remember the date off the top of my head. This memo is basically just to let you know that the process has started, because I'm sure you'll probably get some calls from some people, potentially, that may be on the list. This memo also outlines the 5 reasons why a property can be pulled from tax sale. Just because you might know somebody who's on the tax sale, you just can't come to us and say, please pull the property because they're my neighbor. The only way to get them off the list is somebody needs to pay the taxes. Unless they meet one of the 5 reasons listed within the Municipal Government Act, the property cannot be pulled from the tax sale.
Pretty straightforward.
Do you have any comments or questions on this? Councillor Welsh.
Are we seeing a normal amount of default at this time, or are we seeing above average?
It's a trick question for me, seeing how I've only been here since July.
Yeah.
I think that the properties, if I understand correctly from Shelley Hudson, there seems to be a few more properties. I think it's kind of a catch-up from COVID. But during COVID, I don't think everything was going that should have been going if you were doing tax sales.
Okay.
But I mean, typically you start off with a large number, and as you send out the notices, they do come down.
Yeah.
I know that, I think we are only using properties right now that are over $100. And I'm glad you do like policies, because I've got quite a few that I want to try to put in place before I leave. One of them is the tax sale policy.
Okay.
So that council can establish what's the minimum dollar amount of the property value that's owed before we actually put it, because we could put a lot more properties on the list just based on their 2 years in arrears.
Is that generally more vacant land then? Or resource properties or vacant land that would fall into that $100 bracket?
Anything that's current year plus 1 in arrears is eligible for tax sale.
Yeah. Okay.
And then typically, at least from my experience in the past, and I'm not sure if the CAO's experience, but if there's a piece of land that might be of interest to the municipality and nobody bids on it, the municipality can actually bid on it. But it has to have a strategic purpose. You just don't buy it for the sake of buying it.
Yeah. No, I recall, Deborah, we picked up that Falls. Clemensville Falls a few years ago specifically because of that reason.
Okay,
Yeah, thank you.
thank you. Councillor Archambault?
Probably more of a comment than a question. I'm glad to see this. It's been my experience in the past firsthand that not keeping a handle on this can create all kinds of, issues going down the road, and the longer it isn't looked after, the harder it is. So I'm glad to see these policies are being taken seriously, and, that's good. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from any other councilors? No? Seeing none? Thank you very much for the report, Mr. Will. Again? He's not going anywhere, but I'll thank him anyway. We appreciate it. We are on page 45. This is another report with budget timeline, and I'll pass it over to you, Mr. Will.
So this is just to keep council up to date as to what's going on. We've had our initial meeting with senior staff last week. The operating budget templates have been distributed to staff to start working on. I've asked for those templates to be back to me by January 9th. So the finance draft budget, we're looking at probably late January, early February, and that's when we'll start to meet with the committee of the whole to start going over the budget and get your input for anything you're looking for. I have changed the methodology of how you guys were doing budgets in the past. You'll see that I've gone back to 21-22 for the actuals, to show you the actuals for the last 4 years, so that when you're looking at the budget numbers, you can see any trending that's happened over the years. The goal is to have the operating budget approved by the end of March. I am currently working on the templates for the water budgets, which I'm hoping to get the call of this week. And then, of course, I got to begin working on the capital templates, which I've reached out to Kings County to get a copy of their capital project worksheet, which identifies the projects and what's involved. Because the one thing that I can't seem to find is a lot of details when it comes to the budget information that I'm looking for. It seems to be a one-pager type thing, and it just needs more detail for me to be able to explain anything at any given time. That's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you for that. Are there any questions for Mr. Will? Deputy Warden?
I guess I'm going to say thank you. So, I've been super impressed of how you've been able to work with the team and bring the team together, and the fact that we're seeing quick turnaround and progress. And, I've been here for, this will be the third or fourth budget, I can't. Every year's been completely different, and we've changed how we do the budget each year. And, there's some that I liked, some that I didn't like. So I'm looking forward to, again, a different one. But the fact that we're going back to 2021 to actually see any type of trends, that's really how it's supposed to be. If we can't see where it's trending, it's up or down, then it's hard to really see. You're just relying on what people's personal comments have been. So I'm looking forward to this budget year, and not looking forward to my full-time job budget year, but we'll see how that pans out. But thank you, and I look forward to working with your finance.
Great. Thank you very much, Deputy Warden. And any other comments or questions? Okay, seeing none? Thank you. You can now have a seat.
I'm done now.
Yes, you can now have a seat. Excellent. Let's move on to page 49. On page 49, we have a report that is presented by our CAO, Mr. Cross, and we have a recommendation here. So would you like to speak for it, or can I put my recommendation on the floor?
I can speak briefly to it.
Okay.
If you would like. So as you recall, we had a presentation at the last committee of the whole from a company known as PowerBank, looking at additional solar projects in the county. So again, when they do that, they always look for a letter of support. So in this case, certainly we, again, are recommending that you can give that letter. In this particular case, there is some zoning and issues that they need to address, so that's how the letter is written to that effect, so that they would need to, that would need to be addressed before council to give their full endorsement.
Thank you, Mr. Frost. We have the letter that is presented to you on page 51. I know you've read it. Are there any other questions for our CAO on the letter and their request? Yes, Councilor.
In principle, I'm in favor of this project. I do have just some concerns that I'd like to list. One is remediation of the site to ensure that it isn't, they don't go bankrupt and there's nothing in the kitty to, we've seen it with turbines before. I just don't want to see it happen with a project like this, as significant as this. I have been doing a little research. I've heard of programs in Australia and the UK when after 25 years, the panels with a degradation factor of about 0.5 each year still have about 85, 87% of their production quality still remaining. And in those countries, they give those panels to people who need them instead of just taking them and crushing them up. So in 25 years, when they want to recycle them, instead of destroying them, they still have life in them. Is there some immediate purpose that they can serve in our community?
Any suggestions?
What's that?
Any suggestions?
Well, if I'm here in 25 years, I'll...
Just wondering.
Yeah, no, it would have to be through a third-party administrative sort somehow, like a company that would, where people could apply for those panels up to a certain number of kilowatts, and then they would be distributed based on that and installed. So I'll look into it a little bit further.
But you'll still be there. Okay.
Yeah. Secondly, agricultural land. I don't want to see the loss of agricultural land as these projects expand across the valley floor potentially, or if they're being installed in a way that still allows for agriculture to take place underneath of them. In fact, with some of my research, they can actually improve the quality of some agricultural land if they're installed correctly, for like sheep grazing and stuff. And my last point is based around the 2 cents that isn't adjusted for interest or inflation over the 25 years. At the end of its life cycle, 2 cents isn't a whole lot. I did some quick calculation at 2% after 25 years, kilowatt hour is 30.4 cents, upwards to 6% is 79.6 cents. At that rate, 2 cents isn't a whole lot, it's more symbolic. It would be nice if it was adjusted for inflation for the people that tie into it, if possible.
Okay.
Just as thought. But in general, I am in favor of these types of projects.
Thank you very much for sharing your points. Anyway, oh, Deputy Warden.
Thank you. Just a couple of questions. So, from planning perspective, does our planning department have any issues with this?
Through you, Warden, I would basically say we can't really speak to that until it comes to planning and an application is submitted.
Okay, so we haven't had an application or anything yet, okay. And I do share some of the same concerns that Councillor Walsh has. However, you know, we have to realize that this is not our project. This is a private contract. However, we do have a lot of influence within this. So those things can definitely be discussed with them for their consideration. But we have to remember that this is not our project. But we do have a lot of influence. So I appreciate and thank you that you brought that up. Especially the 2 cent thing. That was something that I was thinking about, and I know that I'm not close enough to that area to benefit from it, but there's a lot of people that are. So hopefully we can use some of that influence to help our communities. Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Thank you very much. Councillor Harris?
For me.
Oh. Not sure. Councillor, he's got me confused now.
Thank you.
Councilor
So, in order for this project to actually happen, my understanding is, attending previous meetings, that they're going to have to access the construction of this up through Jeffrey Street and in beyond the rink in that area. And it's been our experience lately in a couple of projects that are going on in the Bridgetown area that I see, and probably elsewhere as well, that when heavy equipment comes in and does a lot of traffic, a lot of trucks concern and that sort of thing, it does have some degradation on the infrastructure. I just want to make sure that, and obviously these people would be paying to have this construction done, but I'm talking about remediation in respect to damage to the road from wear and tear and that sort of thing that's happening currently in some of the other projects that are going on. I just want to make sure that, you know, we're aware of that, and we put, you know, efforts and controls in place to make sure that it's not on the taxpayers' burden to replace those roads and fix those areas that are going to be damaged during this project. Because that is a very narrow area. It's going to be some hard maneuvering around there, so I just want to make sure that's on the agenda when we proceed.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah.
Councilor Carroll.
A couple things. Just to refresh my memory on Councilor Agenberg's point. What tax rate did we figure out they would be taxed under? It wasn't agriculture, was it? Or was it agricultural? I can't quite remember that from the meeting. I think you were the one that figured it out, but I can't remember what it was.
It was resources. It was
So I
resources.
guess
It
my-
would be resource, it wouldn't be.
So that'd be, I guess my comment regarding the roads is they would be
It's not
paying
permanent.
a tax rate, like anybody else that would do construction on roads. So that'd just be my comment on that. And my other comment is, I agree with everything my colleague, Councilor Walsh, has said as well. And I'm just curious if the rest of the council also agrees with what he has said, especially regarding the 2 cents just being chewed up by inflation, because I'm sure that's a big point for a lot of people in the area. I would still support it today because it'll go to the council, but in the meantime, the week we have, can we perhaps get in contact with that company and bring up all these points to them just to see what they would have to say?
CAO will answer.
Through you, Warden, so again, I believe the Deputy Warden mentioned this, so that's kind of outside our jurisdiction. So we can, you know, all they're looking for is a letter of support, which basically is that so that they can apply for, you know, their federal and provincial funding, and that they can apply to proceed with their project. Really the only thing that this council will have much of a say in is when they come for the planning review. It's a provincial program that they want to apply to. That's what designates the amount of money and what that rebate is. So we can say what our opinion is, but at the end of the day, it's a pretty set provincial program that, again, we can try and influence, but we're not going to change that.
And that's what I'm asking, is I want to ask them the question, because we do speak for our constituents in the area, and I'm sure what you have brought up is what our constituents would want to know. So sure, we can't say, you know, you gotta do this, but it would be nice just to ask the question on behalf of the constituents. So, just to see what they would have to say.
Great, thank you. I have Councilor Connell.
I agree with what people have said, but I also agree with our CAO. Working for transportation my lifetime, we have no say on what traffic goes on any road the Department of Transportation owns. Anyone that pays gas tax can drive their vehicle up and down the road, no matter if it's an 18-wheeler to a bicycle. We have no say in that because it's a provincial road. If it wrecks that road, it's still up to the provincial government to fix it at their time. As much as people don't like to see investments and streets demolished, you can't fix stuff because they don't fly it. It all comes on wheels. So we can lobby our provincial government to fix a certain road if it's destroyed, but we got to remember, same as our CEO says, that's not our jurisdiction. and we don't own the roads. And I'm pretty sure Jeffrey Street is plowed by DOT. No? Is that our road?
It's our,
It's our road, it's the Brink Road. It's the Brink Road.
Well, I know DOT has ditched it and put culverts in it. The back
Jeffrey
end of Jeffrey Street. You better check and see how much the county owns of that road. I think once you go by the rink, you'll find that maybe the provincial government owns that section.
good point.
Okay,
But anyway, and also the farming issue is that we put our county-wide plan in place and the provincial government overruled us and allowed utilities to go in farmland. And again, that's out of our hands as jurisdiction on us saying that we suggested at the public meetings we went to with the one in Brooklyn on having some kind of grazing animal to keep the vegetation down, but the provincial government never mandatored it. So again, it's wishful thinking on our part, but very little we can do about it as far as that goes. I support the project, so.
thank you very much, Councillor. Councillor Cranton.
I support the project as well, and thank my colleagues for the points they shared. I agree with what Councillor Connell and Deputy Warden said, and CEO said about our jurisdiction, that ultimately it's a provincial program and whatnot, but they are asking for support, and I do see some value, what Councillor Hare suggested, in asking a few questions and finding out, because ultimately it is in a community that serves our residents. And recently I attended a public meeting on a provincial project, a provincial infrastructure project, that the consultation took back 7 years ago, and there was a letter of support from the county at the time on it and whatnot. And ultimately, although it's not municipal jurisdiction, it's municipal representatives that deal with the complaints that come in from how the project was handled and the lack of consultation. So I think by asking questions, if anything, if we have no jurisdiction, we're at least making sure those questions are getting communicated back to the province, the provincial counterparts, and the developer from day one. In the case, the project I'm thinking of, it's 7 years after the fact. So I won't name the project, but it hit home that this is happening at the same time that myself and I know one other councillor are getting a lot of, are dealing with the concerns and hearing the concerns. So it's just easier to ask them up front.
Yes. Okay, thank you very much, Councillor. Any other comments or questions? Okay, now we need to put the recommendation on the floor. So. I need someone to put the recommendation on the floor. Deputy Warden. First hand I saw go up.
It is my issue.
No, that's right. I'll second.
Yes, true.
I move that Committee of the Whole recommend to Council that the municipality provide a conditional letter of support to 4650800 Nova Scotia Limited in support of their application to the province of Nova Scotia for a community solar project on lands of PID 051487888 and 052000464 Granville Street, Bridgetown, Annapolis County.
Thank you very much. Seconder, Councillor Agenbar. We've gone through all our comments and our questions. However, if there's any at this point, you certainly can ask. Seeing none, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Thank you. Motion passes. We are on page 52. And this is the policy 106, Municipal Traffic Authority. So, I need a mover. Councillor Councillor Carson Salzman.
I move that Committee of the Whole recommend Municipal Council approve Policy 106 Municipal Traffic Authority Policy as circulated,
With a 7-day,
with 7-day notice, sorry.
thank you, that's okay. Seconder, Deputy Warden. Okay, are there any questions on this particular one? Deputy Warden?
Thank you. I'm just happy that we're cleaning this thing up and we don't have to redo this policy or update and amend it every couple months, it seems. So the fact that it's tied to a position and not a person makes life so much easier. And I was led to believe in the past that it had to be the person and not the position, even though from my other government experience, it's always the position and not the person. Hopefully the position stays, but the person doesn't always. So we'll probably, unless we're updating what can be done, we shouldn't see this policy for quite some time. So thank you.
Yes, thank you. Little changes are meaningful. Yes, Councillor Connell.
When I was reading through it,
Any particular page?
no, my question is a village being a part of the municipality, not like a town, do we oversee the traffic authority for the village, or how do they proceed with questions about traffic authority? Because they're not a municipality like a town.
Through you, Warden, to the councillor, any of the provincial roads would still be the provincial traffic authority, so it would only be, any subdivision roads that are new, we would be the traffic authority, so they wouldn't have their own traffic authority as a village, unless they own their own roads, which I don't think that would be the case.
There's a couple little roads I think the village owns, but would we oversee those couple little streets that they own themselves?
That's a good question.
What streets would those be? If you can name one.
The one in by the Public Works goes back to a little subdivision back and behind,
Where Gillespie's are?
where Gillespie's is.
That's a private, I thought
All right.
subdivision.
Giving the nod that it's a private road.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
It's not a street. Well, it's a street to the tracks.
Well,
But I was just wondering how that worked.
Yeah, so generally, generally villages wouldn't own roads and wouldn't have that infrastructure generally. So it would either default to the province or the municipality. depending.
Okay. All right. Oh, great.
all right. Any other comments? Well, I thought Councillor Oxford, you had a comment for number 7 on page, whatever that page. 54,
54.
number 7.
Hang on, let me flip.
Huh? The provincial traffic authority
No,
has,
I don't have any,
with
oh,
respect to a highway vested in Her Majesty?
yes. But that's the MGA, I believe that was taken from. So that needs to be updated.
His.
Can't we change that? Should be changed? Okay. That's being changed. His Majesty. Any other comments on the motion? So, should we reread the comment as amended? Did we change the is?
That's probably been changed. I suspect that the province has probably changed that in a umbrella.
Okay.
Anywhere it says her should be his. So,
We're just not gonna worry about it. You're gonna fix it. Okay. Any other comments or questions? Saying none? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Thank you very much. So let's move on to the next one, which is on page 59. Which is the policy for a respectful workplace. We'll start with putting the motion on the floor. And Councillor Welsh?
I move that Committee of the Whole recommend Municipal Council approve Policy 137, Respectful Workplace, as circulated 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Carson Salzman. All right, any questions or comments about this policy? Seeing none? All in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no? Motion passed. Okay, let's move on to the next one, which will be page 77. Sorry, 73. This deals with policy 130, occupational health and safety. I need a mover, Councillor Ochsner.
I move to recommend the Municipal Council approve Policy 130, Occupational Health and Safety, as circulated, 7-day notice.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Connell. Waiting for it. Are there any questions or comments? Deputy Warden.
Okay. Just trying to figure out how I want to put it.
Is it a question?
Yeah. So, from going out around the community and talking to different people and people that actually work for the county as well, that there's some departments that seem to be safer than others. And I'm just wondering, when a department, or when something is brought up to the Occupational Health and Safety Committee about a certain department, when that comes down, it would go to the director, I'm assuming, through that, or a certain department. What is the follow-up after to make sure that that department has looked into those concerns and has either tried to mitigate them or determine that they're not really an issue? Because we do know that some concerns that come up with safety when they get reviewed aren't really always a safety issue. But I'm just wondering, what is the follow-up with that? And are all departments doing what they should be doing? I just have a few I'm trying to figure out how to gracefully walk.
Okay.
Yeah, so follow-up. What are we doing for follow-up to make sure that these concerns are being addressed or looked at? And what is the follow-up process? Does it go back to the committee to look at? And then if it's the same things again and again, like how is that?
Okay.
Through you, Warden, so basically what happens is that, if a complaint comes forward, it goes to the Occupational Health and Safety Committee, so then it gets on the list, it'll be reviewed, obviously the recommendation will go to the department, but it stays on the Occupational Health and Safety Committee list until it's addressed. So, and again, I have to sign off on that as the CAO to make sure that I'm aware. So ultimately, I have to make sure that that's being addressed if it's a concern. There are some things that sometimes it might be of a capital nature that something needs to be done. So it might, certain things can be rectified quickly, and other things it might take some time. But it will stay on the occupational health and safety list until it's corrected.
Do we have a lot of those pending items on that list?
I wouldn't say, so again, I would say the Occupational Health and Safety Committee has been doing a pretty good job of doing assessments. So, which is good, because you identify what needs to be done, and then, of course, we can't do everything at once, but there's certainly, just in the short time I've been here, I've seen some movement on some things.
Okay. No, I just, over the years, you hear some concerning things, and I just want to make sure that, we're following all the right steps, especially now we're turning a new page. We have new people, new CEO, and this and that. keeping pace with what we should be doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? Okay. All in favor of the motion signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. Now we're on page 77. This is prepared by the Manager of Protective Services, which is Cheryl Mason has come back to visit.
Or she retired.
Yeah. Thank you for coming here, madam. I have a motion to put on the floor, and then we will be asking our questions. Who would like to put the motion on the floor? Councillor Welsh.
I move the Committee of the Whole authorize the Administrator under dangerous and unsightly premises to proceed with the process to call a tender regarding the building located on Highway 1, Deep Brook, property identification 053030003, assessment account number 103494427, to demolish the dilapidated building on the property, have the demolition debris removed to an approved C&D site, and level the ground to make it safe.
Thank you very much. Seconder. Councillor Harding. Okay, now we have, maybe, do you wish to speak on the issue at first, and then we'll have questions after? Madame?
Sure.
Okay.
You saved this one for me to come back.
100%.
This was something that was identified a while back, and through the jigs and the reels, it kind of got dropped, and it shouldn't have. So when I came back and I realized that that was still an outstanding issue, I threw this together in like an hour. The gentleman who owns the property and his partner have not responded to any of the calls, the letters, the visits to the property. We've been to the owner's home. We can't get any response at all. So when speaking with Department of Transportation, when we found out it was in their right of way, it was pretty well determined that it needed to be removed because of the condition of the building. So this is our process. We go through it. The owners do have the opportunity to come back and appeal this decision that we're making today. So he could show up at the Committee of the Whole in December, and you have the opportunity to listen to what he has to say. But they can't save this building when it's gone too far. It has to come down.
Thank you. Councillor Hare, question?
So you said this was an issue in the past too as well?
It was recognized a year and a half ago. The condition was coming down, and at that time, he was advised that if you can remedy the building, it won't have to come down. However, no action was taken in the last year and a half. It has just gotten worse.
So was there any contact with the property owners in the past, and they actually responded in the past? Never, ever?
We've never heard from them.
All right, so I guess my comment on this whole matter, I like to tread lightly on these matters. I know even in my district, there's a number of old buildings that look like this, and they're community landmarks. They're buildings that people have grown up for generations around it. Difference is they're out where people aren't going to get in and get hurt. They're not on the road, and the property owners would be very happy to speak with anybody that wanted to talk about the condition they're in, and they would work with people. But given that it's on the road and they haven't been in contact, this is kind of going to be my exception to what I would normally decide on.
It's a danger issue. Deputy Warden.
Thanks. I know this is, whenever we have a conversation about unsightly, and especially when we get to the point of tearing things down. It's come before a couple times since I've been a councillor, and every time it's something you don't like to do, but there is safety aspect of it. And I do appreciate the fact that Councillor Hare brought up that, people in every district, I know, so am mine too. But the fact that this is where it's at, just like what he said, the fact that it's by the road, it is a safety issue, and you can clearly see, could it be fixed? Oh, 100%. It could be, but the time and the money, and obviously it's got to that point where it's overwhelming to that individual. One of the other questions I have is, so we haven't had any response from this individual. Does this person still reside in their county? Like, is this person still alive?
Alive.
Yes,
I don't know, I guess that's the best way to bring it, but we do have confirmation that this person still resides.
we live across the line, but they do reside
They
in the
do.
area,
They do reside.
and we have been to their house.
Okay, all right. Because I know that we have a huge, we have a list here from 2024, and that was the thing that was in the back of my mind, of we haven't had an official response. Do we know this person is perfect? There is a lot of nice timber,
Yeah.
like the beams and different things, but, it is a safety issue, so I will support this no matter how it makes me feel personally, but being this close to the road, and the fact that it's on a right-of-way with DOT and things like that, I'll support the motion. Thanks.
Great, thank you very much, Deputy Warden. Any other comment? Councillor Well? Oh, no.
I'd have his finger up there first. I'll go
Councillor
after.
Agambar, and then Councillor Well?
Yes, please.
And then Councillor Hardy? Okay.
Cranston.
Councillor Cranston? Okay. Okay. You have the floor, Councillor Agambar.
There's been a lot of opportunity for the property owners to respond. So from that aspect, I'm in full agreement with this procedure. But, I mean, to me, that looks like a wonderful place to play hide and seek if you're an 8 or 9 or a 10-year-old. And as a grandparent, I would be concerned about, whatever goes on in there, because I'm sure the issue here, to me, is that, and also the danger aspect of it. There's been a lot of time for this individual. Seemingly, he's not interested in speaking to us at this point. Maybe we'll hear from them as a result of this, but I would certainly recommend proceeding with this project.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Welsh, you have the floor.
I just want to say, I always lament the loss of structures like this, these footprints that we never get back, that you can never rebuild on. And I've watched this building slowly deteriorate over the number of years that I've lived, and I've always had hope that whoever had stewardship of it would come in and remediate it in some way to save it. But unfortunately, I drove by this morning because I wasn't sure if last night's wind would have been enough to bring it down. And this barn could stand there for 20 more years, or it could be gone tomorrow. And with it in the right of way like that, it's become a hazard. There is beautiful timber in it. And it'd be nice if whoever got the tender on it understood the value of that.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah. But at this point, unfortunately, I have to vote in favor of its demolition.
Thank you very much. Councillor Cranston, you have the floor.
Yeah, I agree with everything that's been said. It's unfortunate, and I agree. Come from a family with a lot of farmland. We've had to make decisions when buildings come down, and you have to fix them up and whatnot. So it is unfortunate, but it's obviously the right decision for safety reasons. I guess my only question is on your file chronology. It references registered mail going, and I'm not sure if that's gone out yet, but we would get confirmation, obviously, that the person at least has done that before tender, because I just don't want, I know you've given lots of opportunities, but then we don't have no contact. You don't want somebody to accuse the municipality of saying, well, I didn't get my mail for a year, or I didn't come home and my bill got off. So at least with registered mail, we would have something that says, you've been told all this, so it removes some deniability.
Yeah, circle back to you.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. And for the second time, Councillor Hare?
Yeah, I just had a question, just in general regarding when tenders get put out for dangerous properties, if the property owners did respond to the county, would they be able to work with the county in the sense of, okay, it's gotta come down, but I don't wanna pay for it to go to C and D site, can you knock it down? Can we just have it knocked down on property, pushed out of the right of way, and then I will dispose of it? Can they work with the county regarding, in that sense? Debbie?
Would you like to respond?
If the owner were to say, you know what, I finally realized that it absolutely has to come down, and I will take the action immediately, they have the ability to knock it down on their own property, certainly,
Yeah.
without being concerned by transportation that's not on their roadway, and dispose of the materials at their own rate, as long as they haven't left it in an unsafe condition, because that's still the problem, and the complaint from the community. This currently is unsafe with all the lumber that could be there if they knock it down. Will they do that?
Yeah.
And what kind of time frame they're able to get us?
Would they be able to, I'm just trying to think of another situation where they don't have a lot of money. Would they be able to say, okay, put the demolition to tender, but then let me deal with the disposal? Because just looking at the building, it looks to be almost 100% wood. And if that's the case, I know they could get a burn permit. And then if there was enough property there, they could dispose of it themselves. Is that a possibility?
No.
It's very
We
close
call
to
it
the
tender, the
case
whole
of
thing has to go.
And
Has to
disposal?
be cleaned up, yes. But we are not leaving it, because now we're responsible for it.
Right.
We've called the tender.
Okay.
Now, we have to make sure that that property is cleaned up completely, and we don't want it to be unsafe, being left in any condition.
Councillor Connell?
I agree with the process. I've tore down a few buildings, and there's always the people that say, oh my God, I'd love to have those beams. And you know what? You can set them out there. 6 months later, you can drive by, they're still sitting there. A year of time, they go by, they're still sitting there, and you didn't finish cleaning up what you started. A lot of people have good intent, but don't follow through. Sad to see a building tore down. I agree 100%. That when we tear a building down, we clean it up and take it away. As a kid, I stepped on a rusty nail, and if I wouldn't have got to the hospital the day that I went, after being wrapped in blankets and shivering and shaking for 2 days, I would have lost my leg with blood poison. So you know what? Just because a building comes down, it makes more of a hazard for kids to go walking around where there's rusty nails and stuff. So I'm 100% for the process. They've had lots of opportunity, and I've got a place in my district that's the same way, and not everyone can afford it. The county has to take safety first.
Thank you. Deputy Warden, and then Councillor Agenbar for a second time.
Thanks. So I just wanted to point out with it that, just to clarify, to make sure there's no confusion, that even though we tear this property down, or we potentially might, we don't just absorb that whole cost and say, oh, well, we tore it down, now you can deal with this. The cost of that demolition goes back to that owner. You know, so I just want, just in case people were listening into the council, I just want to make sure that there's no confusion that, you know, if it was a situation that we would only pay for this, that, no, we go in, we take care of the problem, make sure it's no longer a safety issue, and that bill is then redirected back to the owners. Now, hopefully, the owner can pay for that, and then we're not in a situation where things are, but unfortunately, in most cases, the owners don't pay it, and then it goes up for tax sales, unfortunately. But at the same time, we have to weigh, you know, safety versus this. That's the big thing that I challenge with. And I really like the fact that Councillor Connell brought up his personal story. I don't like the fact that he went through that, but it brings things to perspective, right? That just because if the owner said, okay, I'll tear it down, well, then I see more of a safety issue. If they just take a backhoe, throw it over and say, okay, well, it's done. Well, now we got this issue. So, we just have to look at other things we've been dealing with through the county in regards to safety and unsightly. That, just in my own area, I know that we have a few that it's a bit unsafe, but we're working with the residents on it. So I just want to clarify the fact that just because we're doing this doesn't really mean that the county is paying out of pocket per se. It does go back to the landowner. So, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Hagenbach. You said what you needed to say. Okay. So, seeing no other hands, all in favor signify by saying yes.
Yes.
Opposed, no. Motion passed. I had one of those nails in my feet when I was little. Councillor Connell. Guess I was too mischievous as well.
I think we've all done something like that.
My tinnitus shot is what I had.
Do you ever have bass and oatmeal? Because that's what they bathe me in.
I did that when I had chicken.
They bathe me in oatmeal water. It's just like getting in slime.
Okay, we are at the bottom of we have no new business, and we have accomplished all our business for the day. So therefore, everybody have a great day. Our meeting is adjourned.
Hour 9.